Well, my interest in research actually began when I took a class with Dr. Sumaya in the Behavioral Neuroscience Lab, and we started learning more about neurodegenerative disorders. So I wanted to learn more about that because I come from a background where my grandfather suffered from Alzheimer's disease, and my grandmother just recently passed away from dementia. It was really important for me to understand not only how they developed the disease, how it would progress, but understanding how their lifestyle may have exacerbated or influenced that development. I was really close with them. My grandfather, there were many times where he had lucid moments and he could remember us and remember our names, but then there were times, unfortunately, that he thought I was my mother. So seeing that, it was devastating, and I understand that there are several other people that are dealing with this in their families right now. So understanding how to not only treat the disease, but also understanding how they can possibly prevent the disease, I think it's very, very important.
What our lab does is it investigates different disease states in humans using animal models, specifically our rat models you can see here. For Susie's experiment, we were interested in the dopamine system, which has all to do with motor behavior. And so her work focused on the impact that a high-fat diet has on the dopamine system. Her work specifically looked at drugs that are used in clinical populations to treat humans with schizophrenia. The prevailing theory of schizophrenia is that those individuals have too much dopamine. So what we did is we used a drug, Haldol, that's used very widely in human populations, and we looked at the effect of the high-fat diet in conjunction with the Haldol. And Susie's experiments were very groundbreaking in that we found that if you give an animal that drug that is used to treat schizophrenia in human populations, if you give those rats a high-fat diet, the drug doesn't work. And that was first time data that we've collected, and we will publish those. I'm actually alum from CSUB. I graduated here with my bachelor's degree, and I stayed here to get my master's degree. And at the time we didn't have an animal colony, but my heart was really into wanting to use animal models to be able to more accurately understand the human condition. So when I went off to get my PhD, I did my work in what is called a behavioral neuroscience lab, where I was trained as a behavioral neuroscientist. I was trained by a pharmacologist, and so a lot of my work had to do with looking at different drugs and how they would affect the animals. The ability to mentor students is the highlight of my job here. I met Susie 3 years ago, and she was in my biopsych class, and she was one of my top students, and I knew that she looked very promising in terms of working in the lab and going on to graduate school. But when I met Susie, she had little to no self-esteem, and that was from life experiences. Life had not treated her very well, and so all my students start in the lab. They start with the groundwork, they start cleaning the cages, and I kind of figure out from there after the first 6 months if they're really willing to put in the work, and Susie definitely was there. And so she's a budding scientist, and it's all due to her hard work and dedication. I come to find out later on is that she's a single parent, as I was when I was a student here. I was a single parent trying to make it through raising a daughter, just as Susie has, and Susie's done it beautifully. Her daughter Bella comes to the lab every now and then, and she comes to meetings sometimes when Susie can't find a sitter, and that's all completely welcomed, because my students, although I love them in the lab, I actually really do care about them as people. And so Susie and I are very, very close. She's such a civic-minded student, but such a wonderful researcher too, and that's hard to find. Typically I'll get students that are very much involved with their research, but that's all they do because that's all the time that they have. But with Susie, she's something very different because she does give back to the community here at CSUB and in the city of Bakersfield.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell, for your support. The SRS program allowed me to apply to PhD programs. Hi, Dr. Mitchell. I'd like to express my appreciation for your support of my project in woody plant anatomy.
Thank you, President Mitchell, for your support in sustainable chemistry research.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell, for your continued support on valley fever research within the biology department.
Thank you so much for supporting research in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry.
Thank you for your support of all our students.
Muchas gracias, Dr. Mitchell, por su apoyo en nuestra educación y por mejorar nuestro ambiente, crear un ambiente que es ético y diverso. Muchas gracias al Departamento de Biología, Marky Star y el SRS Program. Estamos muy agradecidos. Gracias.
President Mitchell is truly a transformative leader and a role model for many of us. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, President Mitchell, for your support for the School of Business and Public Administration.
Thank you, President Mitchell, for your support of our brand new engineering programs and also for your support of student-faculty research in the sciences.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell, for your leadership, which has supported undergraduate research for students in the arts and humanities at CSUB.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mitchell, for your leadership here at CSU Bakersfield, but especially for your leadership to the students, the faculty, and the staff out at CSUB Antelope Valley. We couldn't have done it without you. And I really appreciate all the support you've done and given for student research and for raising the bar for our students here, both on this campus and also at the Antelope Valley campus. Thank you so much.